The content discussed in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial or mortgage advice. Always consult with a licensed professional before making any decisions regarding mortgages or financial matters.
Welcome to the Canadian Mortgage Show. Here are mortgage professionals Alex Pang and Alex Shanks to cut through the BS and educate Canadians on all things mortgages and real estate.
We forget that other people don't see this stuff. Financing and financial knowledge is not out there for everyone, but I just wanted to make it very clear to understand how do the interest rates work in Canada. What is the drivers of a variable rate and what is the drivers of a fixed rate? Because the news, we know, does a horrible job. We talked about this the last time the Bank of Canada cut, but I'm really going to explain it to try and nail it down for people.
Welcome to episode 61 of the Canadian Mortgage Show. Alex Pang here alongside my co-host Alex Shanks. Alex, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good here, man. I know that you wore your black hat for the Canadian Mortgage Show. I was meant to wear my white one. What actually happened is I found it. It's the bend on it's got a little bit crooked, so I have it in an elastic band right now to try and fix it. I was gonna wear it, but it was gonna look really wonky. Didn't want the camera, the video people to be like, "What the hell is that guy doing?"
What happened? Did you store it somewhere?
I guess it got yeah, I think it got stored somewhere, and it's one side of it's a little bit bent down, so yeah, it's getting formed up again.
So tell me about this elastic band strategy. Like what do you, how do you planning to
it's, I mean, didn't you ever even with baseball gloves, if you put something and form it, so I have it set up so it's being formed. If anyone's watching, I'm just showing with my hat here, so I have it specifically formed in the right spot, because these are cardboard, and so it will change the shape to it. And so you just hold it like that for a little while.
Okay, I see. It's almost like putting it in a vice or something.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just holding that, holding that one position there. But how's everything?
Do you have to do you have to blow dry it so it forms in a mold or whatever it is? Or
yeah, I don't think so. I mean, same as it it was obviously something was sitting on it and it got bent, and that's where sometimes I've had to do it where you have to get them wet. We'll see, but I'm hoping just it's staying in the one spot for a few days. We'll reform it.
Yeah, I've told before that washing hats is okay in the laundry or the dishwasher if you get one of those. Yeah, but I think I've had a bad experience in the past and they just ruined my hat. So I'm like, you know what? I'm never washing hats. If anything, I'll toothbrush it in whatever any of the inside here for those of you on the video side. But other than that, it's not washing. Even white hats, I toothbrush, whatever. The outside, but yeah, just very picky on the hat side. But yeah, I mean, I was telling Alex offline here, I'm slowly getting better from my cold. I woke up this morning with a bit of brain fog. Man, it felt like I'm hungover or drunk or something. That yesterday I was trying to get back to normal, doing a lot of socializing, meeting with people, and this morning I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm hurting. What's gone? So I don't know. It feels like maybe I did have COVID because these are the symptoms I've had when I had COVID, where having headaches for a week and, being really slow and stuff. But yeah, I guess it's still a thing. So
yeah, well, hopefully I hope you feel better here and make it good. But I mean, we've all been cheering for the Jays here. One thing I'll say, I mean, I like baseball, but if it's see on the news of Canada is baseball, I'm I don't know about this, guys. I mean, yes, they have a team, but if in BC, unless they're actually winning, it's not a crazy sport on here. I mean, Canada is hockey. I kind of find it funny that they're saying that Canada is baseball. I'm I don't know if I personally believe that.
yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to cheer for Toronto. Just, I mean, us in the
Just because you hate the Maple Leafs doesn't mean you have to hate everything else.
It's not hating, yeah, and plus the whole, we get jammed Toronto stuff all the time. Hey, we have those this pod is coast to coast for those back east, we love you. It's just the way the media jams down. I watch Sports Center and Sportsnet, and it's about 20 minutes of Toronto Leafs, Raptors, and stuff, and then itty bitty stuff about the rest of Canada, the Jets, the Flames, the Oilers, and if you have time, the Canucks, and they spend all these insiders analysis talking about the same thing of the Leafs and the Jays. And I understand, yeah, hey, good on the Jays. They are giving the Dodgers everything that they can handle leading up to this World Series. The Dodgers are like, people were saying, oh yeah, the Dodgers are going to win in 3. But hey, Blue Jays have really bucked up, and you know what? If they can pull it off, hey, all the power to them. Congratulations. By the time this pod goes live,
We'll have
the
known. We'll
Jays
know
would have
who wins
won,
it.
or we would have went to Game 7 or whatever. So at this moment, the time of the recording right now, Jays are up 3-2,
Yep.
with 2 games back in Toronto to finish off.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it
Yeah,
goes.
I mean they can finish it off either the next game or yeah, does it keep going? But it's exciting. I mean, I've tried to get into baseball there, Alex. Like I even tried to play some fantasy baseball before. And God, there's so many numbers, and I mean, watching it now, I'm like, man, there's a lot of strategy to it. It's not just like hit the ball and stuff. Like I mean, it's really interesting to watch. And I don't know if you saw that thing of like the money on the news of Shohati and the Yasavage guy. The difference,
Oh yeah,
what
Otani, right? Yeah,
oh my god, that
yeah.
was hilarious.
Well, for those of you in the West Coast, at least I mean Trey Savage, he played for the Vancouver Canadians, who's the Vancouver Canadians is a high A affiliate of the Blue Jays. So for
Yeah,
that, I'm like, man, this kid's 22 years old and 12 strikeouts. First time a rookie has struck out this many, and first time any pitcher has struck out 12 people, 12 batters in a World Series. So hey, this is amazing. He's on cloud nine right now. He's just riding it. So yeah, his future is looking pretty bright. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about this episode. We got national stuff and the local stuff. So do you want to start us off?
let's go into it. I mean, obviously, at the time of this, the Bank of Canada has already cut the overnight lending rate by 0.25. Now, this brings it to 2.25. Now, banks have already started to change the prime rates to 4.45, depending on each bank. Some of them have a little bit of a difference on the prime rate. Now, the interesting thing, Alex, like I was talking with some people, like there's been times in history, well, where the banks don't change their prime rate. Like they like it's not something that they legally have to do. It's not like, oh, Bank of Canada's dropped the overnight rate. Banks have to do it. It's not something that they like actually have to do. It's something that normally always happens, but it's not something that is always guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, we I remember a time, this is probably before your time in the industry, Alex, where um the prime rate went down 0.25%, but TD did not lower in the same 0.25%. They only dropped 15 basis points. So
Yeah,
for those of you with a TD mortgage that doesn't have a line of credit attached to it, they'll have something called TD Mortgage Prime, which is 0.15% higher than the rest of the industry's prime. And that's why, because they decided not to pass on the savings to consumers. And
yeah,
yeah, that's just one of those new nuances. They haven't changed it since, and they've kept
yeah.
it like that for the last, yeah, I think believe since 2013 or 14. That's when that happened. So,
Well, dang, that's
um, in the backdrop of this, um, we are now in the lower bound of the neutral range of where Bank of Canada historically sees. That's not causing inflation or causing deflation. Now, we talked about this last week. Probably there's going to be more hurt happening in the economy, right? Based on how things are going. Now, if the economy continues to tank amidst all these tariff and job losses, I mean, we could very well see 2 more cuts in early 2026. But
yeah. I mean, the bank,
um,
the Tiff Macklin did speak differently than that. I mean,
yeah,
again, we have the economists, we have what the economy's doing, but Tiff did said like, hey, like we're at the moment we are happy where rates are. Now, again, they've also said, hey, the rates are going to be low for a very long time, so hey, not going to believe anything that comes from them. We're going to watch the data on a daily basis because it's going to change all the time. But I think what they're really trying to push out there is like there needs to be even more uncertainty. Like the economy needs to get even worse. Like they're happy where it is, because inflation has ticked up a little bit. Doesn't mean that it's going to go crazy here again. But I think they are watching it better this time, which I think is a good thing.
yeah, and I mean, he said some starking thing that's like, what in the world are we in here? He says, Canadians must accept a lower of standard of living going forward. I'm like, why? How did we get here? Like, we are such a resource rich country. And because of these ideologies politicians have of climate change, net zero, all that stuff, it's not realistic. And we are suffering because of it.
And now I'm
You
not
know.
going to quote it specifically, but I do know Bill Gates from Microsoft just came out with something about like climate change and everything.
Mm.
And it was maybe for our next podcast we can dive more into it out. But just talking about 3 points of like we need to understand that yes, climate is bad and it's changing, but it's not going to what's destroy the world. Like that is not actually what's going to happen. Other areas are going to become inhabitable. Other places are going to become more inhabitable. We're spending millions and billions of dollars on these places, let's say in Africa, to try and help climate change there. But what we really actually need to focus on is actually allowing them to grow their economy, using their resources to actually build theirs. And that's the same here in Canada, using our resources to actually better ourselves so that people have more money to maybe not do as many bad things.
Yeah, and what he goes on to say is, um, yes, climate change is bad, but because we need to actually use our resources to help those, and healthier, wealthier people live longer, and it will reduce mortality rates, and just by that, it saves lives, so it improves our quality of life. So yeah, I saw that this morning, and yeah, that's a very interesting thing, and you know, politicians, government, we got to listen up. We got to really,
Yeah, I mean that's where again, like for this lower standard of living, the only ways that we can try and fix this is we either need to reduce our taxes. Now this is one that's interesting. I know that the teachers, I think they're off strike in Calgary now. We had our big union here in BC off of strike for all the government stuff. Now everyone's increased their wages. I read something that supposedly that the people that signed the agreement for the union here, they didn't realize that it was after tax dollars. They thought the agreement that they were signing was, oh, we're going to get an extra $5. Again, they didn't account for that there's taxes on that money. Same thing when we do a mortgage, we get to use people's gross income for qualifying. But hey, that doesn't mean that's the money that you're bringing in every single day. And that's where like the only way to increase the standard of living, it's either we need to have more resources so there's more jobs and people can get paid more, or we need to reduce our taxes so people actually can keep more money in their pocket. But again, the bloat in the government, everything else, like that's not going to happen. It if we were to reduce the taxes, well, our debt would just quadruple, or we would lose all childcare, or we lose our medical. Like there's so many other issues with that. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
yeah, lowering taxes. We all like date back to the day when GST was first brought in as a temporary tax. We know temporary things will never last. Income tax was originally temporary, and I think property transfer tax was temporary. We know
That
taxes
was
will
to
never.
stop the foreign buyers. I was like, oh, we're gonna place this because it's gonna help try and stop some of the foreign buyers. Like, ooh, we can make a lot of money from this.
Yeah, and then we all know municipalities, once they get used to this revenue and this money stream coming in, it's gonna just be voted in as a permanent thing. People are used to it and whatever. So, um,
Yeah.
you want to talk about what this interest rate change means because your phone was blowing up yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes, so this isn't going to be a rant. I do want to make sure that I understand people that, hey, me and Alex, like we're in this every single day. I always do forget that. Like you sometimes think something that's really easy to me and Alex, like talking about amortization, interest rates, stress tests, qualifying. We forget that other people don't see this stuff. Financing and financial knowledge is not out there for everyone. But I just wanted to make it very clear to understand how do the interest rates work in Canada. What is the drivers of a variable rate and what is the drivers of a fixed rate? Because the news, we know, does a horrible job. We talked about this the last time the Bank of Canada cut, but I'm really going to explain it to try and like nail it down for people. So obviously the Bank of Canada decreased their overnight rate by 0.25. That brought the overnight rate to 2.25. Now, on average, this has just been historical, the banks add about 2% for their prime rate. And that's where we're sitting at. Sorry, it's about a little bit over 2% because we're sitting at 4.45 today for the primary. That's what people get to borrow from, not the 2.25. We get to borrow from the 4.45. And what happens is the banks or lenders give a discount or an increase on that. If you have a credit card or a personal line of credit, you will see a prime rate plus 4%, plus 2%. So you take the 4.45, you add the 4%. So you're now sitting at 8.45. That's how you get your interest rate. If you have a prime discount, you're minusing that off of that. If you had a prime discount, which some people that got mortgages in 2022, they're sitting at like prime minus 1.2. Like some people have mortgages now again under 3.5%, which is pretty crazy to see that way. But that is not what people, if you have a fixed rate mortgage, let's say you have a pre approval, you're waiting to go and buy a house, maybe you have an accepted offer, your fixed rate mortgage, those are based on the bond yields. And everyone thinks that it's an instant correlation. They think that, hey, Bank of Canada drop, my fixed rate should drop by 0.25. What is happening with the fixed rate mortgages? These are based on those bond yields. Now, what you have to remember from these is it's something that investors have already been preemptively thinking about. This is not something that, hey, on the day of Bank of Canada dropping, oh, we're going to think about that the bonds are going to go down or up. This has all happened previously. People are guessing, hey, we think that rates are going to go down or rates are going to go up. And so that's why we have fixed rates sitting around 3.89 kind of as an average. And to be honest, they've actually gone up a little bit. Fixed rates have actually gone up. Variable rates have now gone down. They're really like in line with each other. Would you say now, Alex? Like fixed and variable, like I think are almost equal.
Yeah, it's pretty close now. We had this weird moment in time a couple years ago when variable was above fixed. And that was when, hey, government had to pour cold water on the overheated economy from COVID, free money, hyperinflation. And yeah, there was a point where variable rates was 1% more than fixed. And
Yep.
historically, it should be about half to 1% lower than fixed because when you're taking a variable mortgage, you as a borrower, you're taking on the risk. Whereas if you get a fixed rate, the bank is taking the risk, right? So to compensate you for as a borrower to take on the risk, you should get a discount. So it should be about half to 1%. We are not at that point where we're back in historical norms. We're getting close to it, but there's still a ways to go on that, right? So yeah, that's kind of where we're
Yeah,
at.
that's just think of it for people to understand like bonds. Think of it, it's an IOU. The government, the Canadian government sells these bonds to raise money, kind of like a promissory note. Now, lend us this money for 5 years and we'll pay you back with interest. And that is where the investors, if they think their rates are going to rise, there's going to be a demand, a higher yield for those bonds. The lenders raise fixed rates based on this. If investors think that the rates are going to fall, the bond yields are also going to drop, which is going to lead to lenders lower fixed rate mortgages. So if you have to remember, if you see on the news, I see that rates are 2.25, realize what is actually, are they talking about the Bank of Canada rates? Are they talking about fixed rate mortgages? Are they talking about variable rate mortgages? But again, never feel weird asking. That's one thing I have to get through my head is just because someone's asking about that, it's not because they're trying to think that we're trying to dupe them and say, hey, you have to pay this higher rate, is they don't understand it. And that's again why Alex and myself do this podcast here, is to share this information. And so, yes, I'm not going to lie, I did get a little bit frustrated yesterday, especially because I had talked to this about people. But I have to remember that not everyone is in this every single day. And they see news, and why would they not think that their rate would go lower? I've asked other people, and that's what they think. And it's like, hey, in your world, that does make sense. If you don't know it, why would rates not fall? Like that makes sense in the normal of the world.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dive into it. This is we've talked about it in previous rate cut pods, but we'll talk about it. This rate cut does not affect fixed rates. Um, this does affect variable. Anybody who has a variable rate mortgage or a home equity line of credit or even a personal line of credit, it will affect it. So that one will go down. Now, diving it deeper into a little bit more microcosm, there's two different types of variable. One is an adjustable rate. That's a true floating rate. So like the lending institutions like Scotiabank, National Bank, mortgage finance companies that are normally through mortgage brokers like First National, MCAP, so on and so forth. They go by adjustable rates where when um, the variable rate goes down, your payment also goes down in lockstep, right? Um, Now, of course, on the other end, when rates go up, your payment went up, and a lot of people experience that. Okay, but we're on a downward trajectory, and it's gone down because of this yesterday's announcement. Now, the other one, fixed payment variable, is what most of the other banks have. The RBCs, the BMOs, the TDs, the CIBCs, and all the credit unions. They go with a fixed payment variable. So even though a 1/4% is down, your payment actually doesn't go down. The payment does stay the same. But now more of your mortgage payment will go towards the mortgage principal, less of it towards interest. So you do pay it off faster that way. So if for those of you who don't see your payment go down on a variable with the banks that the lenders I mentioned, that's the reason why. Your payment is going towards paying it off faster.
Yeah. Now, another thing that Alex and I've talked before about is when is the right time to lock in your variable rate to a fixed rate mortgage. That is something that I do think in a few months, like it may really make sense. It's something that we do need to watch. And what we're doing for our clients is making sure, well, if we get news, and I mean, if fixed rates are starting to creep up more, it might be like, well, crap, we need to do this sooner. The nice
Yeah.
thing when you take a variable rate and you're not paying a premium on that fixed rate upfront, your lender, depending on who it is, they're going to look at the bond yields that day and say, hey, you know what? I'll give you a fixed rate of 3.7. If you would have taken the fixed rate up front, you might be at 4%, 3.9, because that's where you can get an opportunity to potentially get a lower fixed rate. Now, is it guaranteed? No, because you take your variable today, bonds go up. Well, crap, you may have missed out. But it's trying to find that risk reward. Could variable rates go a little bit lower? Potentially. But again, we don't want to plan on that. We want to make sure that you have all the different options.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we mentioned about it a few pods ago that this may be we're kind of in that circling the toilet or circling that, so to speak. We're approaching that moment where, yeah, for those of you on variable, maybe look at it. We looked at the bond yield yesterday. Actually, it went up after the Bank of Canada rate announcement. So we're getting close, but it's one of those things that we kind of need to monitor on a regular basis. Now, even though Tim Macklem says that we're done for now, the rest of the industry is like, yeah, right. We'll see, right? If the economy continues tanking. Now, this pretty much says that they're not going to cut in December, but hey, all bets are off in early 2026 when we get more bad news of like if our Carney, the governments and all these premiers completely screw up and continue to piss off Trump and we get more tariffs and more job layoffs and this continues to snowball. Well, guess what? The Bank of Canada has no choice but to do those kind of things. So we are kind of keeping an eye on it, and we are approaching that territory. But we'll keep an eye on things when it's still when it's getting closer or really close.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, the one I just want to bring up one other thing. This is again just talking about how different our every single market is. But I mean, again, Ontario, Toronto, it's just bleeding death for condo sales. In the month of September, they only sold 28 condos. That's only 28. I mean, what is the population in like Ontario? Is it not like is 60% of like Canada's population down there? I can't remember that stat. Like if you look at Canada,
Yeah, yeah. It's
and I
I
mean that's
believe GTA population is about 8 or 9 million. I think.
yeah, that's really yeah. I mean either way, but only 28 condos sold in 1 month. I mean like that's pretty crazy. I mean like in September, I think I had 40 closings myself on home. So it's like it's a bonkers number that way to see that it's just that bad out there.
Yeah, historical sales average, I believe, is like probably like in the tens of thousands, I believe, maybe like
Yeah, I think it was like nine or
12,000 or
ten
something.
thousand is the yeah is the
Yeah,
average.
28. Yeah, the condo market is so dead in especially the GTA, more so in GTA than Lower Mainland. We do feel it ourselves, but because they've built up so much and their pre-construction is not doing well. It's gonna hurt for a while before things get better. So, but yeah, we shift gears here. Normally, we save this towards the local stuff towards the end of our episode, but this one has widespread implications across the country. We've talked about it before. The Cowichan Aboriginal land claim in Richmond. Um, so a couple days ago on the Tuesday, uh, Richmond held a town hall meeting with his residents and the mayors and a couple of other, I guess, politicians. And it was a very testy meeting. so to speak. Like it was all over our socials, and they and basically they didn't get any more news or new updates other than what the notices they received. They didn't get any answers.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people are saying that, like, there's people that are saying that, like, the federal and provincial governments, they're just pulling punches. Like, they're actually not defending the interests of the public and private property owners. And I mean, we all have to, like, this is a touchy subject. Like don't get us wrong here. We know that what Aboriginals had to go through, everything there. But this is also like this has other parts to it. And I mean, someone you bought a piece of land and now you had it, and now it's just been told that this may not be your land anymore. We all have to understand like how everyone's feeling here. Like make sure that we all come into the middle here, and we will all work together.
Yeah, I mean, they interviewed one Richmond property owner. He said he's lived there since 1975, owned a home there, paying tax on it, and he's been told by his lender they won't be renewing his mortgage after this First Nations land claim. Imagine that. Like, this is just the start of the beginning. Now, obviously, the government they're appealing it and it's going to go through the courts. But if this fails on appeal, this is going to be a landslide of new claims across the country. And like you can just imagine if you can't even get a mortgage on this affected land, you can't even sell it because the values, like, who's going to be able to buy it? Like,
Now, like
unless you
down the
buy it
road,
for
like this,
cash.
like it will get. I mean, like you, like right now, like in Tawasin, there is First Nations land. They have it, and you can get leases from them. So like it will, like let's say they do get it, it will get resolved at some point. Someone will be able to get a mortgage on it. But what is the value worth? What is that going to look like? There's just so many implications that I feel like the government is not thinking about. They're trying to be kind here. They're trying to be like, hey, we want to work with you guys. But they're not thinking of like the total grand schemes of everything. And that's where it's scary. I would like to know like who this guy's lender is. He didn't say that. I mean, I saw a lot of the posts on there. Some people obviously like saying like this is so wrong, and then one person's like, well, how the hell does he have a mortgage buying in 1975? It's like, well, I think he meant like he lived there since 1975. Doesn't mean he's owned that house since 1975. And also, people take on debt. People want to go buy other things. Like, don't that to me is just a very weird argument to say like the guy's kind of lying. Again, we don't know the full truth. We don't have everything. It is just one person. But it's something that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, exactly. And the one that's saying that, why do you still have a mortgage? I'm like, hey, you don't know if they've refinanced to renovate their home or their bought investment properties, or they took it out to start a business. Or in a lot of cases, especially being in our part of the world that's most expensive, they might have refinanced to take out money to help gift to their kids to help
Yep.
them buy their place, right? So for that one, I'm like, that was a idiot comment, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that one's silly. Again, like I don't, and I mean, obviously he doesn't. I mean, I'm guessing he's saying because he doesn't want to bring backlash to the bank that doesn't, or the lender that doesn't want to renew. Which is like, hey, like that's kind of a nice thing to him. But also, was he just saying that just to stir the pot? Like that's where I want to play on both sides of this. I'd like to get more information before we fully say like, whoa, oh my god.
yeah, I mean, even right before the recording of this pod, one of my realtor contacts messaged me like, "What are your thoughts on this?" I'm like, "Man, this is just a gong show. Like, this is not going to be resolved right away." I mean, eventually, if it ends up turning into like a leasehold, like how Tawasin is or other First Nations, yeah, I can see it settling. But in the meantime, while things are up in the air, no one's gonna wanna buy anything there, right? No
Yeah,
one's gonna wanna, like, values it, no one's gonna wanna lend on those properties. People aren't gonna be able to sell. People probably shouldn't buy while things are up in the air, and, the residents were warned at this town hall that property values are already plummeting, lenders and insurers are worried, and the only solution is to overturn this on appeal. Well, that's not a guarantee. It's just kind of like, hope for the best and brace for the worst, to be honest with you. And
yeah.
really,
I
yeah, I
mean,
mean,
That's the scary thing. Like this is, I get a feel like this is almost like stratas and everything. People have stratas, and you have a call if you own one, you have a mortgage on it, and let's say that they need to do a massive special levy. Like this is where people lose. Like we're talking millions of dollars. Buildings have to be collapsed, and companies buy them and eat them up. But like, if someone can't get a mortgage, maybe someone owes 500,000. If their lender's not going to renew with them, well, guess what? They're probably gonna have to go to a private lender. They're gonna have to go to someone and be like, "Yeah, I'll give that money to you, but it's gonna be 12% interest." And like that's like, how is that gonna benefit anyone?
Yeah, exactly. Now, here's a funny thing that came out of this the town hall meeting was I guess the politicians publicly said that we'll try to protect your property rights,
Yeah,
but they kind of didn't uphold their promise in public. They voted against Property Right Protection Act on the first reading in Parliament, the day after assuring Richmond residents that they would defend their property rights. So, and their lawyers admitted privately that what those ministers refused to say in the public, that Aboriginal title can override private ownership. So they didn't. So they kind of like distance themselves from talking about it because of that. I'm like, my goodness, like because you didn't want to admit the real thing and just they were there just to take the heat and David Eby wasn't even present at the town hall. It was just the Richmond mayor and two other ministers that he just kind of sent to, like, hey, this is gonna be a firing squad. So just grim and bear it kind of thing. Like, what a
yep.
gong show. Yeah. So I
And
mean,
and obviously we're now like this is what in the legal court now. I'm not a lawyer, but obviously we know like everyone talks about precedent. Like what's being set is going to be a precedent, and this is how people are able to get sometimes off of doing murder because there's a precedence of, oh, you didn't have the right test on my cells or whatever you want to say that way. But what's happening from this is obviously First Nations, like they are listening to this, and why would they not try and go and get more? If they're able to do this, I mean, why would they not try? And so in Quebec here, the First Nations files a lawsuit demanding Aboriginal title over lands in Western Quebec, and so like this is going to be popping up more and more.
oh my goodness. This is like, what in the world are we doing? Like, this has become such an issue too that the world is actually watching. Like, we've listened to other pods where people from across globally have brought this up. Like, what is Canada doing? Like this is a mess, and we hope this gets overturned and
Yeah.
such. But
And I'm gonna put a thing here. I would like if there's anyone that's like listening to this podcast that can help maybe Alex and I like come on here and talk to us about the other side. Like if you can, I always like to have a discourse, like have a conversation. Someone can give like a to me like a very clear of like, hey Alex, like this is why this is more right, or this is why this is more right. Like we will have that conversation, and it would probably be good for other people to hear that if there's anyone listening that wants to come on and talk about this.
yeah, I mean, we would be happy to have people from both parties to discuss, like, hey, what are the implications about this? And like, yeah, we understand about, like um, First Nations land and stuff, but like, hey, this is this is big. So we just want to talk, rehash about last week when Doug Ford um, put out a Ronald Reagan ad about antitrust. Well, guess what? Trump slaps Canada with a 10% tariff because Ontario took too long to take down that ad. I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going
Now
on?
the interesting thing with this is like it's actually like it may actually help like the case for like what they're trying to do in the US. Like lots of the people at the Senate don't fully agree with this. And they're trying to get these tariffs like taken out. And there's a massive vote, I think, today that are obviously all against this. And I mean, Trump coming out and say, oh, I've slapped this on Canada because of this. It's like, well, then there is no economical benefit to this. Like you've pretty much proved that you're not doing this for economical benefit to the US. It's like, hey, I'm pissed at them. They're not doing what I want to do, so I'm gonna make it harder on them. So like that's the one shining light on it. But I mean, at the same time, like you don't poke the bear. I mean, we had Doug Ford saying, I'll do it, but I'm gonna wait till the weekend's over, then I'll take it down. You then have BC now talking about running an anti like arrows tax. Like, is this really the time to do it? Like, really, should we be poking right now? And then Carney did come out, and like the federal government came out and said, "Hey guys, like this is our job. We are meant to be dealing with the federal stuff. You guys deal with your provincial." And so, I mean, again, two sides not talking to each other. Federal governments are talking to the provincial governments aren't talking to federal, and they're just all kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, our advice to David Eby, you got bigger things to worry about this Aboriginal land title thing. So focus on that. Let's like leave the federal stuff to Mark Carney and the liberals there. I mean, even Doug Ford admitted that Carney reviewed the ads beforehand and approved it. So
Oh.
Carney, poo poo to you too. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, like you
And I
pulled the
mean, like
wool
again,
over.
like, and I mean, it'd be interesting. Like, hey, like, let's go and get other countries. Like, I don't want us to only be dealing with the U.S. Like, I don't care about that. But also, the U.S. has signed three Southeast Asian countries and given them zero tariff. So it's like everyone is going, and they're gonna find out better things. And I mean, Canada might be left in the dust here. Where
Mhm.
it like this could be an economic, like a big issue for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, governments, we need to wake up and just focus on the task at hand, especially here in BC. David Eby really needs to worry about this whole land claim and let the people that are in charge do their jobs there.
I was gonna say let's get into, obviously we know the CRA has had many issues in the past, and then these issues continue to happen. Um, a small company filed for a $4.99 million refund, and the CRA system automatically just gave it to them without any overview because it was under the 5 million threshold for review. It's like I'd be interested to know is like why the hell do they have that? Us like as just a single person doing it, they come after you for everything. These businesses are just like some of these are like wrong. They shouldn't be getting charged that. But also like how are these businesses just getting access to so easy?
I'm like, hot dang. Okay, well, I guess if you're a small business, you go after under $5 million refund. Like, what in the world? There needs to be a huge overhaul of CRA and their
And I mean, now like that company, let's say like when did that happen? That company's going to spend that money. Yes, maybe Syria will get it back at some point, but is it going to take 5 years, 10 years? Like it's not going to be something that's easy. And this is why the CRA always comes after smaller people, the mom and pop, people, let's say that took the COVID benefits. Like that's where they're trying to get money from because they know some of the more like the wealthier businesses, wealthier people, they can fight some of it. So they're like, well, we're going to go after the people and be like, hey, let's just see if they pay these.
Oh man, I bet you this company, if they go back after that $5 million refund, this company's just gonna go belly up and they're just gonna like
Yeah,
file for bankruptcy and that's it.
yeah,
And they can't go after the owners because this is like probably an incorporated company or whatever. And uh the owners probably set this up that they have no assets in their name and all that stuff. And
yeah.
yeah, like man, what a more gong show stuff that we're talking about here. But
Yeah.
yeah, so um there's been, as we kind of shift gears here, there's been rumblings here that through the chatter that Amazon is targeting 30,000 corporate job cuts. Now, Amazon is a large employer in this area, Lower Mainland. We have um, it's their head office in the old Canada Post there downtown. But yeah,
Yeah.
30,000 is a lot. So even the big companies are not. Um, uh, immune to job layoffs and recession here.
I mean, but again, if we go back to last week podcast there, Alex, like, I mean, Amazon's profits up, the bank's profits are all up. And again, like, well, hey, what can we do to make this better? Hey, everyone's been working, like a lot of these people, these companies have been running with like less people in some cases. So they're like, we can do this. We're just going to make more money. Awesome. We'll lay off more people.
Yeah, yeah, that's a shame. I mean, but this isn't the first, and obviously this isn't going to be the last. So we're going to hear more about this going forward. Now, Canada here, it's not official, but it's been rumored that they might imminently remove tariffs on Chinese electric cars. So
Wow.
this is probably in response to wanting the canola tariffs being taken off from China. But what are your thoughts about this one if it actually goes through?
I mean, I feel like I don't think it even has anything to do with that. I honestly feel like it has to do with like, okay, well, Trump, you're going to push more because like the US is the ones that told Canada put this on China. Like they're the ones that told us to do it. And so I mean, I honestly think they're just doing it to be like, oh, well, screw you, we're gonna go over here. Now, like Brendan Ogmanson said when he came on, like it's great to say, hey, we could get these $30,000 electric vehicles over here. But again, we're just sending all of our manufacturing over there. Like, so we're just not gonna do any of that stuff here. Great that they're 30,000 and okay, maybe one out of 100 people can buy them because no one else has jobs. And so that's where we have to be like careful with this. Like, hey, we don't be nice if we didn't have it, but also people, if we start spending all the money there, we're not going to have manufacturing here. Like it's just going to be gone.
Well, yeah. And we all know too that the EV mandate is slowly waning and that a lot of the EV production has moved from Ontario to the States and out of our country. So yeah, it's like, okay, we'll see. But I mean, is this more like grandstanding and, political maneuvering and such?
No, exactly. Well, let's go into. I mean, this is one. BC Hydro permanently bans cryptocurrency mining to protect the power supply. Now, I do know, like, it is a pretty big thing for people to have the mining stuff in their own home and everything. Now, I don't fully understand how are they going to track this. How are they going to know someone is doing crypto mining from it? Because again, even when you talk about people that do grow shops back in the day when they made their own like growing weed plants and everything, people know how to tap into power for the government not to fully know why. And so I don't really understand this. I mean, is it going to be like, are they trying to say this is because does the government want to control cryptocurrency? Like that's again my tinfoil hat goes on is like, well, why are we not allowed to do it? Hey, if I'm paying for the power, why am I not allowed to use it?
You know what? I still don't understand. How do you mine something that's digital? Like, I don't understand the whole like. How do you
Yeah, I
mine
know it's a
crypto?
bunch of numbers together, and you have to get them all. Like, and that's where, yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna say, and maybe it would be fun to have someone that really understands crypto on here too, because yeah, it's such a thing that I don't understand.
Yeah. So, going on this thread here, BC Hydro is going to update things like a faster construction of the North Coast transmission line, limits on the energy-hungry industries like AI and data centers, which Alex mentioned. There's going to be support for hydrogen production and clean exports, and again, a permanent ban on new crypto mining connections. How that's going to be about, I don't know. Maybe they will monitor how much power is being drawn by certain thing, and I don't know how
Now,
that
like
comes about.
the thing, this like the limits on the hungry industries like AI and data, like, hey, like, yes, we don't want them sucking all that, but like, my worry here with this is like, well, again, like, this is what the US is doing. Like, they're going to do a lot of this. Like, there is money in this. And hey, we do have the right power sources for this. Maybe this is some stuff that we should be doing in Canada.
Absolutely, absolutely. In order to spur on innovation and stuff like that, it's kind of like we want innovation, but because we can't support the innovation, we're gonna stop. So it's kind of like the dog chasing its tail. Like, oh, we need more innovation. We need more businesses and promoting. But these businesses and tech, in order to do that, they need power. Oh, but we don't have it, so we're not going to do it. And like, well, I mean, geez, what are we doing here? Okay, so the next thing here, we've talked about this in the past, and this is going to be no surprise to many here. Canada's per capita GDP has been lagging behind its peers per CIBC. So on the YouTube here, the graph shows Canada is like pales to comparison to like the US has been doing the best in terms of productivity. Australia has kind of dropped as well, but of course, um, we'll actually talk
So
about.
growing.
Yeah, yeah. The Euro area, Japan is still doing well, even though the prime minister last week said we're okay. The population is going down, but because they're productive, their per capita GDP is doing well. UK is doing well, and Canada. You see this blue thing here? We are in negative.
Negative.
So
Vote
even though we
negative.
are, yeah, officially we're not in a recession or we are close to it. We've known we've been in a per capita recessions for the last couple of years, like ever since rates shot up to the moon in 2022, 23. So nothing new here. Just kind of like, well, if you see it on a graph, it kind of makes us more depressed, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. But again, like I believe that there will hopefully we could do some changes. I was talking to some people about like different ways of building homes. And yeah, there's people trying to do different things, which is exciting. And then yeah, let's talk about we got one more thing here before we wrap it up for the day. Now, this is kind of being tied with like the GST that we have here, but the Ontario government has proposed a provincial HST rebate for first-time home buyers that can provide up to 80,000 in relief when combined with other existing provincial benefits. I love how they use a really high number. Like really the HST is not going to be that big of one, but when you combine it, yes, it could equal up to 80,000. So I mean a bit of a marketing thing there. This new rebate applies to newly built or substantially renovated homes valued up to 1 million. And now the provincial rebate up to 80,000. The Ontario government is prosing the rebate, the entire 8% provincial portion of the HST on new homes vowed, which we have already done that. Like, is correct me if I'm wrong here, Alex. Like, we have GST here in BC, the HST in Ontario. That is where, like, we already have the GST rebate. Like, it just now Ontario is talking about, hey, we're going to do a similar thing. Is that what's coming from this?
Yeah. So basically, this is independent of the GST part. So the GST on the HST is also going to be rebated. So let's give you the example. This 1 million, 50,000 is going to be rebated. Now, of course, we've long said on the pod, it should not be a rebate. It should just be an exemption, right? Let's not hire more people to give the money back and all that stuff. Just do it right at the lawyers, like, right?
And
But this
yeah,
part is,
like now, like, we'll also remind that none of this stuff has actually gone through. Like none of this stuff has gone through the House of Commons. Like no one has gotten this GST rebate. It hasn't happened yet. And so again, this is the government's talking about these things, but they haven't happened yet.
yeah, okay. So yeah, like assuming it does go through the provincial part of it. So the HST, the provincial part of it of the HST. So HST in Ontario is 13%. So 5% is going to be rebated. Now, what they're doing is going to rebate the other 8% up to of that up to a million. So good Ontario. Um, this will help spur building. Will it make a difference? Like, will it make a difference in the grand scheme of things, seeing that the building sector in GTA, Vancouver are going to suffer for a while? I mean, yeah, it'll help, but will it bring it back from the dead? I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see.
it's no, it's not it. I mean, we're talking when we ran the numbers before. Yes, it helps someone anywhere from 150 to 250 bucks a month. Like, hey, that is money, but this is not. It's not going to change that. Ooh, everyone's going to go buy new homes now because new homes are still way too expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. I think this is about good time to wrap up. Alex, what's on docket for you for the next coming week?
Yeah, just going to be getting some stuff done. As we're recording this, we got Halloween coming up tomorrow. I hope the weather holds out, so get to go out trick or treating with my kids. So I'm excited that way, and just go and enjoy some family time. What about yourself?
Yeah, our kids are too old for Halloween, so I mean, we're in the block where it's a little bit more mature, so we don't have many of the older kids. The ones um, that do come, we're like giving it away, like, please take the whole bag. But I don't know if we're actually going to like pass out Halloween candy. I mean, we're just going to hang out and
Yeah,
enjoy. Like we last week, I was mentioning that the forecast was supposed to be raining for 2 weeks, but today out in the lower mainland, it's actually kind of sunny. It is a little cold, but sunny.
yeah,
Um, and I just want to celebrate a win here. This is one of these day-to-day kind of things. I was telling Alex offline that I was trying to find some snow tires for our SUV and had great difficulty doing it because I want to get rims with the snow tires, and it was hard for me to get the set together. So I had to reach out to different individuals and like put together a set through Marketplace. And um, happy happy to have done that. And instead of spending like 2 grand on a new set of tires and rims, I think I spent about maybe 1,400 or something like that. So
yeah.
it's kind of
It was
nickel and diming to save money. And maybe I'm following what Tiff Macklem said is we have to be okay with lowering our standards of living. I've already done that. We only have one car now, so I'm already living it. So yeah, that's basically it. I want to celebrate a win. Facebook Marketplace is great, but it's a pain in the ass to deal with people, especially when you
oh,
said, "Is this available?"
wind up. Yeah,
Yeah. That's one pet peeve of the marketplace thing. When can you please get rid of this? Is this available default button? If the ad is up, yes, it's available. Now I know some people forget to take down their listing once they sell it, but my goodness, like especially when people reply, they ask me it's available. Yes, it's available. When do you want to come? Radio
Nothing.
silent. I'm like,
No.
yeah. So it's kind of the gong show. We've all experienced this back in the day in Craigslist, now marketplace. You're dealing with people, and yeah, people are funny that way.
No, totally.
Sounds good. Well, folks, thank you for tuning in. We are going to try to bring in some guests that we can talk more about this whole Aboriginal land claim thing to get their perspective. So stay tuned for that. On behalf of Alex Shanks, I'm Alex Pang. Thanks for tuning in to episode 61 of the Canadian Mortgage Show. We'll see you next time.
Now, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to follow us. Please give us a 5-star rating. You can even send us an email because we want to know what you guys want to hear about. That's what we're here for. Reach out anytime.